Upper Halter Lake. The average depth of water here, 20 feet. Where the original river channel flowed before the dams. Now there are life jackets located under your seats. You do not need to don them. They're for emergency use only. Don't worry, as long as I've worked here, we've never needed them. It's been about 2 weeks. Just around the corner of American Bar is where the Missouri River takes shape once again. The extent of the waters dammed up by Halter Dam. Halter Dam is 20 miles downriver from here. If you travel 4 miles upriver from Halter Dam, or from American Bar, the corner here, you'll get to Hauser Dam. Hauser Dam is the only dam in the area ever to fail. Now that dam failed 1 year after they originally built it. They built it in 1907, it failed in 1908. Now I'm not a dam builder, but I can tell you this was a horrible idea. That original dam, built from timber and sheet metal. A lot of water to dam up with timber and sheet metal. Now they rebuilt that dam in 1911, this time using concrete. It's been holding strong ever since. But just in case, that's why we keep those life jackets. Now if you go upriver from Hauser Dam, you'll get to Canyon Ferry Dam. About 60 miles above Canyon Ferry, Three Forks, Headwater State Park, the birthplace of the Missouri. It's made up of the Jefferson, the Gallatin, and the Madison rivers. It's also the longest river in the United States, 2,341 miles. All this up here that is now Upper Halter Lake, before the dams, this was all hay meadow. That original river channel followed the far bank that you see off to our right. Some of the wildlife we're looking for. We have bald eagles, osprey, turkey vultures, golden eagle, mule deer, black bear, mountain lion, bighorn sheep. I've even seen elk, moose, badger, foxes. As we enter the canyon, you're going to see caves, cracks, crevices. Keep in mind, all these caves, cracks, and crevices, they were created by water, erosion. There was never any mining in this canyon, no blasting, no drilling. Now the geese like to sit up in those holes up in that rock wall though. Get out of the shelter, or out of the wind, take shelter. Now if you look over here at these trees, you'll see where the 2007 Meriwether fire, if you look up high, where it burned, skipping over, burning again, jumping one more time and burning up over here. Now when a fire burns like that, they call it a mosaic fire. That is a healthy fire. It opens up the canopy, it cleans up the ground cover, but still allows the growth. Now a lot of the 2007 Meriwether fire was not a healthy fire. It burned all the trees, all the ground cover. This particular area, that was healthy. Has a 45-degree angle right through the middle. That pathway is known as the goat path. Now we won't find the mountain goat here any longer. They were never native to this area. The mountain goat was introduced in this area in the 1950s. Now the mountain goat didn't like this area for one particular reason. Elevation. It wasn't high enough for him. The mountain goat likes to be at the tops of the tallest mountains. By instinct, he will not do one thing. Look up for danger. In this canyon we have mountain lion, we have golden eagle. That was a problem for the mountain goat, so he packed his bags and he went east. He went to Refrigerator Canyon. If you go to York and up above York Nelson, above Nelson, Refrigerator Canyon, you'll still find the mountain goat there today. They just left this area. They're much higher now, cooler, and away from those mountain lions. Now if you follow that pathway all the way to the top, there'll be a natural opening, an archway. Looks like a hole in the wall. They would pop their head out of that hole in the wall, work their way down this path, and get a drink of water. Now, every once in a while, you'll still see the bighorn sheep use that pathway. Now, the bighorn sheep, I don't typically see them on this end of the canyon. Last time I said that, I looked up and there was a bighorn sheep right there. But I typically see them in the fall. When they're in the bachelor herd, the males come down to this end of the canyon and they fight for dominance. It's quite a spectacular sight to see. When they butt heads, it sounds like thunder ringing out through the canyon. Two types of trees, the most common that everybody sees out here. We have the ponderosa pine, which is the state tree, and the Douglas fir. The ponderosa pine has that reddish colored bark, longer needles. Douglas fir, short needles. Good example, right in the middle of this cliff up here, that tallest tree, ponderosa pine. Just to the right, a Douglas fir. As we go downriver, I'm going to show you a very special ponderosa pine. It's going to be the tallest tree on the ridgeline. It'll have an umbrella-like canopy. Just underneath that canopy, a dark circle. That dark circle is the bald eagle's nest. Wait till you see this nest. They weigh 200 to 300 pounds. She has 2 to 3 chicks every year. That puts her total this year to 59 chicks. Now I have 3 at home, and I can tell you that's plenty. But there is something we can all learn from the bald eagle. Those chicks, those fledglings, when they leave home for the first time, how do they keep them out of the nest? Well, it's simple. They just don't feed them anymore. I told my wife, these birds are onto something. When the boys get older, they leave home, they're not welcome back unless they bring their own food. Now, we almost lost the bald eagle in the 1960s.
Yeah.
The mature birds, they were doing just fine.
Somewhere close. They don't go far.
But the young were not surviving. That was all due to a chemical, DDT. It would get into the water, into the food supply, cause their eggshells not to harden. Once we found out DDT was the culprit, they outlawed the use of DDT, and the eagle made a comeback. It's now located in every state that it once was.
So the eagle's nest is right in that tree right there.
Ever seen the movie Thunderbolt and Lightfoot? If you have, you may recognize the area ahead of us to the left bank. That's where Clint caught the mail boat. Now, if you have seen that movie, you may recognize the mail boat too, Sacagawea 2. Of course, for the movie, they renamed it The Pride of Idaho. That area to the left is also known as Hunter's Flats. Got its name in the early 1900s. Wild game hunters found that area easiest to unload their wild game. How about Lewis and Clark? Any Lewis and Clark fans? This area off to our right, ahead of us, is known as Fields Gulch, named after Reuben and Joseph Fields of the Lewis and Clark expedition. This is where they camped, July 19th, 1805. You may ask, how do we know this is where they camped? That would be through their journals. One thing they did extremely well on that expedition, keep track of distance traveled. The whole expedition, they were only off by 10 miles. They also wrote about the features of the land, this rock cliff off to our left that jets straight up out of the water across river. They stated that they stayed on the larboard side of the river, larboard meaning left. Now I know a lot of you are thinking, Brian, that's your right side. It is, but we're heading downriver. They were heading upriver. That would have been their left side. No, I can't show you the exact site where they camped. We know that it was in this general area of Fields Gulch. But for all we know, we could be floating over their campsite right now. There's 20 feet more water than there was when they came through. The only way to find their exact location of their site would be to dig. Does anybody know what we would dig for? Their bathroom. And you say, why would you dig up an old bathroom? We'd be looking for their medicine. In 1805, only a few things would probably ail them. If they have blood poisoning, they simply cover them in leeches or cut a vein and bleed them. Or if they ate or drank something bad. Now, if they ate or drank something bad, the medicine that they had on hand at expedition was none other than Dr. Rush's Thunderclapper. Now, Dr. Rush's Thunderclapper, the key ingredient, mercury.
So that's the site of the Clint Eastwood movie.
They would eat 8 to 10 pounds of wild game per person per day. That seems like a lot, but can you imagine the calories you would burn paddling a dugout canoe against the current of the Missouri? Now, we don't have much for current right now because of the dams. But when this was the free-flowing Missouri River, there was a lot more current.
A couple bald eagles on a dead tree.